What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this is episode 304 of the Bry-Fy podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Milk and Cookies. Well, it was going to be brought to you by Milk and Chips Ahoy cookies. Not officially, but that's what I was drinking and eating before I was going to start the show. Now it's going to be brought to you by runny noses, congestion, and also 8th Wonder Brewery's Brew GK, a Bun B collection. Because that's kind of what I'm going to drink next after Milk and Cookies. You know what goes great after Milk and Cookies? A nice cold beer. Yeah, the sweetness of the cookie does great. Actually, this is an apple kolsch. What? I don't say beer names. I just drink it a lot. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing tonight. Also, Astros are playing Game 6. They need to win tonight. So I'm trying not to pay attention to that. I'm trying to sit down and record a podcast for you guys. It's Podtober. We're going to talk about Daredevil Yellow today. And it's just scatterbrain, guys. And today, I'm actually recording this early. It is Saturday. I'm recording this after I got off work. So I've been working 5 days straight and 12-hour shifts. I'm exhausted. But I said, no. The Bry Fighters come first. You know, I got to put out for my squad. And so that's what I'm doing, man. I'm putting out for you, or putting a podcast out for you. Even though it's not going to air for another 2 days, but just take care of it now. And then I'll go back, listen to it, nitpick, and second-guess myself. And I'll probably re-record this Sunday night about 5 hours before I upload it, because that's what I do. Anyway, if you like that sort of thing, you like what we do here at the Bry-Fy podcast, thank you for coming back. Thank you for liking what I do. If you're a new listener, hopefully you're enjoying the conversation so far, enjoying just hearing my voice. Hopefully the soothing sounds of Bry-Fy, your comics guy, puts you at ease. No. Anyway, if you want to talk to me, interact with the show, you can always do that with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Everything is at Bry-Fy Podcast. That's Bryfy Podcast. Some people think I put an I in it for some reason. Some people think it's Bry-Fry, like I'm doing a cooking show. No, it's Bry-Fy Podcast. Super simple, super easy. I even have business cards that I give to people, and yet they still fuck up. It's my life. I'm not angry. I'm just thirsty for Bun B beer. For Bun beer. Anyway, up first, we're going to talk about some nifty nerd news. Have a small little, I call it an intermission, but it's just an ad from another podcast that I find fun and entertaining. And then we coast into the comic book that we're reviewing this week. And this week for Podtober, we are talking about Daredevil Yellow by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Hopefully you guys stick around for that, because I really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to talk about it for you guys, or to you guys. Can't wait to talk at you guys about Daredevil Yellow. Yeah. But let's get on to the nifty nerd news that we have for this week. All right, guys, up first in the news, we are getting casting confirmations for the new Batman movie that's going to be coming out. And we've talked about in the past rumors and stuff. One of the things floating around for the Cape and Cowl, was Robert Pattinson, famous or infamous for his role in the Twilight series. He's done other stuff. I actually think he's a fine actor. I think he has a good look. I did a shitty Photoshop on Instagram of what he would look like as Batman. And not to my surprise, and maybe to other people's horror, he is cast as your Batman. He is your Bruce Wayne, which I'm not upset about. I don't think it's weird. I think he's a good actor. I mean, I've said this all before. I think he looked good under the mask. I'm good. I'm good with this. I think this is going to be cool. Now, a lot of people, a bunch of bitches about it. Calm down. It's a movie. We've had like 8 other Batmans by this time. So, like, you're used to change. You're used to different. We've had everyone, like, people from George Clooney, Michael Keaton, and those are the only ones that matter. No. But, so, I mean, you've had tons of people play the Batman, so why freak out about another new person playing it, you know? And I think he'll do a fine job. I'm not sure where this is all going to fit in the DC cinematic universe or whatever, but we'll see. The other casting news that we got is Zoe Kravitz is going to be cast as Catwoman, which I'm pretty like, about. Like, that interests me, you know? Having a Catwoman is going to be really cool. I thought Anne Hathaway did a really good job with her Catwoman, so I'm really interested to see how Zoe Kravitz does. She's a beautiful woman. I think it would be a lot of fun. I can't think of other movies that I've seen her in. Was she in Rent? I feel like she was in Rent. Maybe no, that was no. Was she? I don't know. I know she's been in something. I know I've seen it, and I know she was pretty good. Like, and I'm not great with movies and names and faces and all that stuff, but I think she looks great. I'm pretty sure DC's not going to do a bad job. Hell, their last movie, Joker, which I have not seen, but word's getting around that it's a pretty okay movie. Like cinematography, you know, picture-wise, it looks great. They say Joaquin Phoenix's performance is what makes that movie, which, I mean, sometimes it makes for a really hollow movie when the best thing about it is just one actor. We'll see, but I'm not freaking out about this. Other casting news is that Paul Dano is going to be cast as the Riddler character for this movie. So already we're getting quite a few names. We're kind of getting a look at how it's going to break down, how it's going to, who's going to feature. I'm assuming it's going to feature the Riddler, or it could. I mean, but then, like, when I think of the Riddler, like, no knock on him. I don't really feel like, oh, the Riddler, we better watch out. You know, like, oh, here comes Kyle. Like, you know, he tells riddles. I mean, yes, they're like death riddles and stuff like that, but ultimately that's like his thing. He's not like the gunman who like runs around and just guns people down. No, he's a Riddler. He's not like Bomberman. Well, Bomberman's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, Batman versus Bomberman. Two heroes, both with, I don't know, just weird shit. My head's spinning. I need more beer. Sorry about that. But I don't know. Like, I'm interested. Like, I don't know if I'm like excited about this movie, and I don't know if this casting news that's coming out makes me excited, but it definitely interests me. It interests me, and that's something that I think DC needs to really do, especially for me. Like, me personally, a lot of stuff that DC does for their movies and even their animated stuff, despite how good the animated stuff is, a lot of it doesn't interest me at first, you know. And I'm not saying that, oh, Marvel's got, like, there's some things that were, I can't even say that, because Marvel does things that interest me. Like when Ant-Man came out and it was gonna have Paul Rudd, I was like, Paul Rudd's a funny dude. Like, I've seen him do like tons of funny shit and like stupid shit, and he's gonna play a superhero and he's gonna be jacked and it's gonna be Ant-Man. Who the hell is Ant-Man? Oh, he shrinks? That's it? Like, cool, I guess, but it interests me because it's so weird, you know? The Guardians of the Galaxy, so weird. I think DC just needs to get weird, man. Do Gotham by Midnight. Get some Spectre in this bitch, and let's just get freaky with it, you know? That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see happen. Like, look at here. Chris Hemsworth wants to get weird. He wants to get Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and remake The Three Amigos. You know that movie with, what was it, Martin Short, Steve Martin, and, oh, fuck, who was it, Chevy Chase? Yeah, Chevy Chase was, like, this old movie, these three great comedians getting together, having, like, being stupid, having fun, and Chris Hemsworth wants to do that. Chris Hemsworth is the weirdest guy I know. He's the sexiest man alive, but he has the weirdest and funniest ideas, and I love that, man. And so him saying, like, hey, you know, like, I'm not done playing with Robert Downey Jr. Who killed my Iron Man. I will make more movies with him, and I'm bringing Captain with me. Oh, Banner? Ha! Screw that guy. I'm better than him. Drinks beer. Because that's what Thor does. I mean, Chris Hemsworth does. Sorry, sometimes I get the two mixed up. But no, I mean, it's really funny to me. I don't know what's going to happen. It's something that he wants to do, but I don't think there's really anything in the work. I thought it was just really interesting. I thought it was funny. And that's what I think DC needs to do. Interest me. Get me excited. Like, here's another one. Ryan Reynolds wants to team up with John Krasinski. What does he want to do? He wants to do some crazy, like, fantasy comedy called Imaginary Friends. Like, he wants to, like, where a dude can see and talk to other dudes' imaginary friends and, like, I guess, like, fosters home. Like, I think that's what it is. It's just grown-ups foster home for imaginary friends. And I don't know if it's going to be Ryan Reynolds seeing other people or is it, well, because, like, they've both done voiceover work. Because, John Krasinski was in Next Gen. He played the robot. And so, like, he's got voiceover experience. Ryan Reynolds, of course, is Pikachu, everything. Or Deadpool in a Pikachu costume. So he could be a great, like, they can both play the imaginary friend or they can both play the straight guy. I think John Krasinski, in my opinion, is a more believable straight guy, where every time I see Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, oh, that's Deadpool. Or, well, I mean, even when I was like watching Deadpool, I was like, oh, that's Ryan Reynolds, because he does the same shit in every movie, and it's fabulous. But it's interesting, people. That is an interesting concept. It is interesting, it is fun, and DC needs to learn from it. I'm sorry, I love you, DC. You made Aquaman, you made Wonder Woman, you made Batman the Animated Series. I love you. But your other stuff, think outside the box. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm sorry for going on a rant. I'm sorry for being mean. I'm sorry for being angry. You know who's not sorry for being mean and being angry? Martin Scorsese. Apparently he's been in the news recently, trashing Marvel and DC movies, saying, it's not cinema. It's not what people come to see. It's not art. It's not movies. Well, I don't know if that's how he really talks. I've never listened to Martin Scorsese. He could probably sound like, that's not a movie. Well, why did I go with that voice? Anyway. So yeah, Martin Scorsese's kind of been critical of the Marvel movies and just superhero movies in general, saying like, oh, they're just like amusement parks, they're just big and flashy and don't really contribute to the art of filmmaking and cinematography. That word again. I'm so sorry. And I mean, I feel like art is art. Art is subjective. I'm not trying to say like, oh, the next movie to blow your mind and really make the people think is going to be a superhero movie. I would think that Logan comes pretty damn close to being one of those kind of movie masterpieces that's like, oh, or even Joker, from what I've heard. I have not seen it, but people say, hey, that's pretty like artsy out there film. Maybe Scorsese will kind of like it. No, it's not cinema. Now his voice is really different. But like, why? Like, why even matter? Like when I talk about comics and I review comics, like I know there's stuff that I don't like out there. And we've talked about the stuff that I don't like, but I still talk about it because there's someone out there who might enjoy that book, Like, I mean, we've talked about Hulk Gray and Captain America White, which while I did find parts that I liked, on the whole, I think those two I didn't really care for, but there's people out here who maybe are dying for Hulk stories or want something new on Captain America and maybe haven't checked these books out. And I understand that there's different audiences and different tastes for everything. And so to be like, see a book, like a comic and like something that I don't hate and be like, well, that's not a comic book. That's not art that I see. I mean, unless it's like hate speech, then no, like, I mean, art is art. It just depends on like how you look at it. And I think Scorsese just kind of needs to calm down, man. There's other movies to shit on that are in the theater. Why I gotta shit on the ones that make the money? Unless, he's trying to put his name attached to something that makes a lot of money. So then people are like, well, who's this Scorsese? And let's go see his movies. And then they won't understand it because it's too smart for them. Because that's kind of what happens. I've watched a Scorsese movie, and you know what? I fell asleep. There, I said it. Fuck you. No. but like, I mean, sure, he's a good guy. He's entitled to his own opinions. Just relax, dude. Marvel movies probably aren't going away anytime soon. Superhero films are going to be kind of like, they're like the Western. They're huge. They're popular right now. Maybe eventually they'll die off and we'll turn to something more cinema or film school. But for now, I want to see beefy men in tight clothes punching other beefy men in tight clothes. And then the occasional woman in tight clothes that gets to kick ass too. Because, I am a pervert, so. No. I am a pervert, but I'm not just give me women, I don't care. I want to see the dudes. So, it's fun, and I want to see the chicks too, because they're fun. It's all fun. Just show me everyone. I just want everyone fighting and being ripped and just ungodly, that's what I want. That's why I go to these Marvel movies, because it's just crazy over the top thrill ride. It is a roller coaster, except instead of waiting in line for an hour and a half and then getting to ride a ride for a minute, you stand in line for a minute and get to ride a ride for an hour and a half. It's the better, it's the best reverse ever. And I think Martin Scorsese needs to, chillax, dude. Drink some Bum B beer, the Brew GK from 8th Wonder Brew, brought to you. No, I'm just kidding. Oh God, if I could get 8th Wonder to sponsor this podcast, God, that would be amazing, right? Just give me a case of beer once a month. That's all I really need, because I just want to drink at least one, maybe two an episode. Get a nice little buzz going. If I drink one, I can't eat. And sadly, I ate an egg sandwich, so kind of not going to get buzzed off this beer unless I just chug it right now. And I'm not going to do that, because dead air means dead podcast. Anywho, excuse me. So, how we talked about the Gambit movie a few times? The one that Channing Tatum wants to do and really wants to make. He's excited about. He's like, Gambit's cool. I'm cool. Let's make me Gambit. And I'll direct it and produce it and fund it and all these other great stuff, because Fox is dead and they need it. Well, then Disney bought Fox. And now Disney's like, we don't need Gambit. And Channing Tatum's like, all right, I'm going to head out. This is the only way I can describe it. This is something that's been, it's not going to be Deadpool. No matter how bad Channing Tatum wants Gambit to happen, it's not going to happen. Fetch isn't going to happen, guys. It's just not. And so it's kind of funny to watch this whole saga, the Gambit saga. Ooh, that sounds like a cool band name. My band. Dibs. It's on the podcast. Copyrighted. Bry-Fy, Brian, boom. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird watching this whole thing go off, and it's kind of funny, seeing him try so hard for so long and to have it just fail, which kind of sucks. I get it. That's his art. That's something he wants to do. It's not gonna happen, Channing or Tatum or Chantan, whatever you want to call yourself. Gambit. What's his real name? Remy. I don't remember Gambit's real name. Anywho, AC kicked on. It feels so good. What else do we have? Oh, so it looks like reports are kind of confirming that we are getting a Deadpool 3, and it's most likely going to have an R rating. It looks like the writers are previous writers for Deadpool, but who knows if they're coming back or not. I don't, but they're saying that they had talked to Disney a few times, and Disney had said, hey, we're still open to keeping Deadpool rated R, And honestly, if it goes down to PG-13, I don't think it's going to make it a bad movie. I think the people who are all up in arms Deadpool has to be R because then it wouldn't be Deadpool. I think, you kind of miss... I don't know. I feel like what made... It's not putting a limitation on it, but... Because obviously now that Disney owns it, funding and that kind of limitation not going to be an issue anymore. But what made the first movie so wonderful and so beautiful was that it had to fit within a certain box. It had to work without touching too much onto the main franchise, X-Men franchise, and also not break a certain monetary barrier. And I think of course, with Disney, that monetary barrier is much wider, even wider than Deadpool 2. And I'm curious to if they, they talk about, oh, God, my wife just texted me. Oh, my God, they're still at, oh, wow. My wife is like 2 hours away, and they're still there. And I'm pretty sure she's miserable up at this point. But, sorry, just a little sidetrack there. But I'm curious to wonder if Disney will put any limitations on what the Deadpool series can and can't do, or who they can and can't have, because there's a lot open, and I'm interested to see what they would do. And I don't think making it PG-13, limiting some of the violence, will hurt it. I think sometimes some of my favorite humor is crude without being lewd, or lewd without being crude. That's what I mean. Where it's alluded to being like a lewd thing or a gross thing or a bad word, but they don't actually say that bad word, like the F word. And I think Ryan Reynolds could do a great job of coming up with creative cursing mechanisms. And then, of course, the one joke on Reddit is if it is PG-13 where you only get to say fuck once, and when Deadpool finally has this moment where he can say fuck, and then someone else says it, and so he totally freaks out, and it's just bleeps all over the freaking thing. I would love to see that. Even though we just played that scene out, and we've probably all played that scene out in our head 100 times, I think it would still be fun to see, because even sometimes when you know what's coming, if someone throws some a cheesy fastball your way right down the middle at a perfect speed, you still want to rip it, you just want to whack, knock the shit out of that and laugh your ass off, man. Horrible baseball analogy just because baseball's going on. Sorry, guys. Not sorry. But, and then, Deadpool, I think some of my favorite work of his is in, romantic comedies where, he's not foul-mouthed the whole time, but he's saying, really creative and crazy things. And then, Detective Pikachu, man, some of his lines were so funny, and I wonder how much he was allowed to improvise and come up with some of that crap. And some of it, I wonder how much it was just excellent writing. And so it would be interesting to see. I'm excited for Deadpool. I'm not concerned if it goes to a PG-13 rating. Hell, they redid Deadpool 2 in a PG-13. I still haven't seen that PG-13 version, but I hear it's really good. And it's still, it tells the same damn story, because the story is not an R-rated story. It's not Deadpool's quest to plow all the hookers. It's hey, this kid who's misunderstood and in trouble needs help before he turns into an evil monster. And I think that could work. I think DC can pull it off. Just give me Up, but with Deadpool is what I want. No. Oh my God, could you imagine? Just Deadpoolize all of Disney's movies. Disney presents Deadpool Bambi, where Deadpool teams up with Bambi to take down the hunter that killed his mom. That could be his Mercs for Money job. Is where he just goes around to all the Disney characters and helps them fight back against the evil that has wronged them. I don't know. That's my idea. Maybe I'm just a little too much into this beer. Maybe I'm starting to finally kick into that buzz, even though I don't feel it. Maybe it's just affecting what I'm saying and what I'm talking about. And the last bit of news that we have for you guys today, which, wow, today's been a really big news day, and I'm sorry for that, but there's just been a lot going on. So the live-action Cowboy Bebop series that is happening over on Netflix has been suspended for 7 to 9 months. Not for anything crazy, they didn't do anything wrong, but main actor John Cho, John Cho, who's playing Spike in the series, he actually got injured on set doing a stunt, and he's going to be out 7 to 9 months. And thankfully, or I don't know if this is a good sign. I feel like this is a good sign. Netflix is willing to wait for John Cho to get healthy. They think he's a great fit for Spike. They really believe in him and his acting and what he's doing there on set for as little as they have been filming. And so they're willing to wait. And I think Netflix, it's not like they're hurting for money. They can afford to wait a little bit on this and make sure it's right and put it out. And I respect them for that. I'm really excited for that. So I can't wait to see what happens here, man. But that's kind of it, guys. That's really all I wanted to talk about this week. We've had quite a bit of news, and I've taken up quite a bit of your time, so I think I'm just going to not read everything else that I have saved here. Yeah, I'm just making sure there's nothing like super time sensitive. I mean, yeah, like news is. Oh, here's the headlines. I'll give you the headlines. So we'll go this one. Elton John calls the new Lion King remake a huge disaster when it comes to the soundtrack. I'll let you he obviously made the soundtrack to the animated one, and maybe he just hates what they did with the second one. Whatever. Webtoons, which I love reading on. Webtoons is a free reading app. You can also donate to them to help them and their creators. But tons of comics on there, free comics to read. It was really great. They are now going to start animating some of their webtoons, basically like an anime. So I'm really stoked for that. Really excited to see where that goes. Invasion from Planet WrestleTopia, a new issue of that's coming out. We've actually had the guy who did that come on the show. Feige named Chief Creative Officer over at Marvel, which basically means he's super overlord. So cool for that. Of course, Fandemic Tour is going on, or has gone on this past weekend. Don't know if I'm going to have content for that or not, because who knows? I'm only going on Sunday, so be busy that day. And that's pretty much it for the Nifty Nerd News wrap-up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that bit. And now we're going to take a word from another podcast, and then we'll get into the comic book I wanted to review for this week. Daredevil Yellow!
Hey, this is Liz.
Hey, this is Heather.
And we are Nerdy Bitches Podcast.
A show where two geeky ladies podcast their way through pop culture.
From movies and TV to our regular book club and everything in between, we bring you our favorite fandoms with a feminine eye.
We are talking Star Wars, Star Trek, DC Marvel, comic books, and anime.
And don't forget sci-fi, fantasy, action movies, video games, D&D, board games, and so much more.
Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, or wherever you find awesome podcasts.
You can also find us hanging out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and at nerdybitches.com.
See you soon.
All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is the comic book review portion of it. This week we are talking about Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb's Daredevil Yellow, which is from the Marvel Color series that they were doing, which included Hulk, Captain America, and also Spider-Man. Ooh, excuse me, a burp there. And it's a lot of fun, guys. This one is the third book we're reviewing, which means it's my second favorite of the entire color line. Sorry, another burp. And it, like all the other books, it kind of tackles a story that happens either early on in these superhero careers or, you know, a loved one. Well, they all talk about a loved one. And it's kind of them remembering it, coming to terms with what has happened, and either moving on or finding just some type of closure with it, you know. And in this one, we get to kind of see how things started off with Matt Murdock and, of course, Foggy Nelson. And then when Karen Page comes into the picture, and eventually Karen does get killed. It doesn't happen in the book. Like with all these books that we talk about, they don't actually show the death story or the death scene where it happens. It's alluded to many times, and it's more of remembering like the good times and also remembering like the mistakes that were made that they wish they would have learned from and things like that. And Daredevil, to me, does a really good job of having Matt Murdock look in on himself, look and fawn over Karen Page and the things that he loved about her and the reasons why he fell in love with her. And also kind of seeing like how destructive him being a superhero was to not only his relationship with her, but his relationship with Foggy and kind of like just everyone else in his normal day-to-day life. And so, I mean, we're kind of already getting into the book anyway with that. It does show like how Matt ends up becoming Daredevil because of what happens to his father, you know. And if you've watched the Daredevil Netflix series, it's pretty much this. Like you get a more cast of characters, like the Owl shows up, Purple Man shows up in here, the Fixer and Creel, who is like the absorbing man, I think, or whatever, but not here. Like here he can't. The only thing he's absorbing is punches, but So, like, you get all these cool characters that I've gotten to know by reading comic books, and seeing them in this story is a lot of fun to me. And because I've watched the Daredevil Netflix series, seeing this strain play out in this comic book, much like how it played out in the Netflix series, is kind of cool. In fact, I feel like the Netflix series might have pulled heavily from the Daredevil Yellow run, minus some of the like the villains that they have in this run that maybe they didn't have access to for Netflix. But a lot of, Matt and Foggy and Karen, a lot of that I feel like comes straight out of this book in a way, and like a lot of Matt's inner monologue and just reflecting on the relationship between them is kind of like really awesome. And I feel like it fits perfectly with like the Netflix series, and I feel like the tone of it fits perfectly with the Netflix series. And I'm going to stand my ground. I feel like the Netflix series not ripped off, but heavily pulled from Daredevil Yellow. And it's awesome. So I feel like if you enjoyed the Netflix series, you're really going to enjoy reading this book. It's a lot of fun. I love the artwork in it. Tim Sale, he's the one who does the artwork. That style that he does, and that just kind of noir oldie, not oldies, but just that dated feel and look to it, and then the color palette for it, I feel like it fits so well with Daredevil. I feel like it's so great. And it being Daredevil Yellow, and Daredevil's original costume in the comics being yellow, I think is really awesome, because the reason why his costume at first like yellow and brown, I think it's yellow and brown, is because it's his father's boxing colors. When his father boxed, those were the colors of his shorts. That's what he wore. And so to pay homage to him and respect to him, that's what he wore for his first superhero costume. And then like through the story, you learn, Karen's favorite color was red. And I think at some point, either after she died, I think like the way the story makes it seem is it's after she died, that's when he changed the uniform or his costume to red to honor Karen Page. I don't know for sure, 100%. I don't really know where in the timeline Karen dies and when Daredevil has a red suit. In fact, I think I just recently learned, because of Daredevil Yellow, that it wasn't always a red suit. And it wasn't the black suit from Netflix, although that would have been badass, because I love Matt's like black like starter uniform, like his level 1 armor. Like I totally dig that, and I thought it looked really cool. And so when you look at it in the comic, you're like, whoa, yellow, that's fucking weird. Like it kind of throws you off, but it works really. Someone's honking, but not in front of my house, so I don't care. But going through the story, seeing Matt take pretty much revenge for his father's death on the people who fixed the fight, like the Fixer, Creel, and all the other gangsters, and then moving on to other criminal underlords, and then seeing when Karen gets involved with the law firm that Matt and Foggy start up, and seeing Matt and Karen start to flirt, get close, when Foggy clearly likes Karen too, and him trying to flirt and get close. Of course, Karen's going to pick the superhero, because even though she doesn't know it's superhero, I mean, come on, he's a blind guy, but ripped as shit and does like amazing things that you just can't explain. Like play pool and perfectly sink every ball in like one shot. Like what the hell is up with that? Like no one was like, hey, maybe this fucker ain't blind. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy shit. But getting to see their relationship and them start to like each other and fall in love with each other is a lot of fun. And I think that's what really kind of turns me to these kind of books, like Daredevil Yellow and Spider-Man Blue, is you get to see the relationship develop and you get to see the flirting. And I love relationship stories. I love stories. Like I'm a huge romantic comedy person, and like I hate scary movies and I hate war movies. But I love lovey-dovey movies. Like I could watch those all day because I'm weird. And my nose is stuffy. So sorry for that. Sorry. But yeah, getting to see that, it's crazy getting to see the Purple Man get involved and him take over Karen and almost kill her. And you're like, oh gosh, she's going to die. Like they're really going to kill her in this story. But then it doesn't happen. So you're like, oh, thank fuck Christ. Jesus. It's great though. It's fun story. It's sad, like all these stories. Like, yes, there's fun moments in them, but there's some really sad moments in them because you remember the people that they're talking about, the people that they're in love with, and the people that they're, remembering are dead, and it's because of them. Like, don't kid yourself. These people are all dead because of shit that these superheroes have done or are responsible for. Just put it out there. Matt Murdock, you're a horrible person. You should have cut Karen Page off as soon as you decided to dress up in spandex and start punching people, because obviously that was going to happen. Like, oh, Daredevil, like, because it happens with every superhero. Like, oh, this superhero is really close to this person. Unbeknownstly, it's their secret identity. But then they're like Spider-Man. And he gets his tech from Peter Parker. Peter Parker makes Spider-Man's web shooters, and he also takes pictures of Spider-Man. There's no way in hell that he would actually be Spider-Man. Our Tony Stark, his bodyguard is Iron Man. And it's funny because, wherever one is, the other's not. And kind of weird shit like that. I don't know, like stuff like that. And so everyone, no one catches on to that. But everyone who's a superhero should know. You put everyone in danger whenever you start being a superhero, regardless if you want to or not. Because people are going to find out that this superhero is connected to one certain person because they get saved 90% of the time. The fact that Aunt May is not dead yet. No, I'm sorry, Spider-Man. But I don't know. It's just some crazy stuff. And it's fun, though. I enjoyed this read so much. I think what I love so much about it, though, is just the tone of the book, the feeling of the book, and the color of the book. It just really synergizes well through this entire story, which makes fantastic. I think it makes for a fantastic comic. I think it would make for a fantastic movie. I feel like it made a fantastic series out of Netflix, but that's just my personal opinion that they stole from this. Paid homage to this. So take what you will from it. I really like it. I really enjoy it, and I really think it's great. Seeing Matt and Foggy's relationship come to this huge climactic where are they going to not be friends anymore, and then they just kind of really hash it out, and they decide no, dude, we're not going to let this ruin us. We're best friends. We're in this together. All three of us are going to be in this together because our friendship is more important than who's going to nail Karen. No, because let's face it, that's really what everyone was thinking. All right. Other than that, good story. Love it. Dig it. It's my second favorite out of the four, but it's not number one. Number one's next week, and we're going to talk about that. But I've already been talking for 40 minutes this week, or close to 40 minutes this week. So I think I'm going to get out of your hair, guys. Like I said, pandemic just happened, so who gives a fuck? What else is going on? Oh, there is this cool group of podcasters that I have kind of joined forces with and gotten to team up with. And we are using this app called Podchaser. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I don't know. I've been trying to retweet it and talk about it on my social media and everything. And I thought I would share it with you guys because there's a lot of cool podcasts on there. If you go to Podchaser, you can actually look it up. It's kind of like IMDb for podcasts. So you can actually find me personally, or Bry-Fy Podcast, and host Bry-Fy. Or I think I put my full name, Brian, on there. And you can see me, see my podcast, find where to listen to my podcast directly, or listen to it through Podchaser, I believe. I don't know. But there's a list, and I'm part of this list. It's called Next Wave Podcast. It's NXT Wave Podcast. There's a huge list of us. I think there's over 50 podcasts on it now. And some of them are really great. Some of them are very similar to mine, or do similar things, but I don't know. It's just a great group to be part of. We've been shooting around some great ideas and helping each other out, which is awesome and which I love. It's the support and camaraderie words. And I speak for a living. Well, not for a living, but for a hobby. But it's a great thing to be a part of. It's a great community to be a part of. And I would definitely love if you guys checked out some podcasts on there. Nerdy Bitches are on there, which is really great. I think Random Ramblings with Rob's made it on there. So definitely check that out. And I'm not sure if Colt 45 is made it on there, but they don't need help because they're already fucking famous. No, I love those guys, man. I miss them, and they're living it up with White Cup Entertainment, having fun in Houston while I was at work, killing myself slowly, sitting in the sun, searching vehicles, wishing I was anywhere but here. And that was my childhood. No, okay, guys. I will talk to you later. Thank you so much. Remember, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, everything at Bry-Fy Podcast. Email is at Bry-Fy-podcast at hotmail.com. Well, don't put the first but put Bry-Fy Podcast at hotmail.com. And you can chit-chat with me, and we can have a lot of fun. I also have a Patreon if you want to donate, get some bonus content and some awesome, cool stuff. I'm thinking about doing a Christmas card this year. Don't know how I'm going to send it off to you. Maybe it will just be an e-card. We will see. Bry-Fy out.